So, have you ever wondered what the cross means in the Bible? Like the cross where Jesus apparently got nailed and was crucified, died, sacrificed on this cross 2000 or so years ago, or whatever. And it's really funny that the Western mind is going to take everything very literal from the Bible, even though even though the Bible was written not only 2,000 years ago, but it was written by people from the East. Eastern mystics were writing this Bible 2,000 years ago. You know how different language even sounds like 50 years ago? And can you imagine 2,000 in a whole different part of the world? They are not speaking our language. They're speaking in a form of poetry and symbolism, metaphor. Because the Bible is a book that should never be taken literal at face value. You have to really be intuitive to just see what the author is trying to convey through a story, through symbolism. And the cross can be represented as like an X point, like a point in time, like the long line that's going vertical can be represented as the now, the present, the eternal now, forever, the present moment. And the horizontal line that's going across is representing our linear story that's moving across time in this apparent time. Like you're born, and then you have a life series of events, and then you die. And then our mind lives in that linear, logical time. And it's that cross point where the horizontal meets the vertical. And that's where God dies, apparently. That's where God is focused in a very specific time in this world to die. Because what God is can't die, because God is not even alive. It can't be characterized. We like to represent God as this character that has emotions, that has logic and reason, and we create God in our image, but that's not even the case. And right now I'm just using the word God because I'm referring to the Bible. It could be, you can call it anything, but I'm referring to that vertical line, the line that goes up and down as the eternal now, and the line that goes across can be represented as your mind, as your personal life, your story. And that story cross-hatches into God to where you are right now. And that's where you die. That's where the big sacrifice is, where God, all infinite energy, freedom, absolute freedom, became a person. And then the moment you are a person, you're already dead. You are in this world of death. And that's a huge sacrifice, especially when you are born in this world and you don't even know who or what you are. And that's the sacrifice that God makes. To become this person, you have to forget that you are everything. You have to forget you are already free. You have to forget that this is already heaven. That there's nothing that you lack. That there's no acquiring of different levels to anything. This is all just part of the story. of trying to get somewhere, of trying to improve and become. But that's literally just a story. And what I'm suggesting here is just a suggestion. That's all it is. And there's a lot of great things when it comes to healing the body and, helping yourself out from bad patterns and self-sabotaging behaviors. That's fine. But what I'm talking about here has nothing to do with that. And when I say that God became man, I don't mean that you are God, or I, like me, this body is God. That's a huge New Age misunderstanding completely. This is actually suggesting that there is no you. There's never been a you or me. There has just only been everything without any personal identity. There is nothing personal anymore. This has nothing to do with you or me. And that's where the death happens. That's where Jesus dies. That's where the person dies and then comes back again as everything. Completely free already. Whole, complete, fulfilled, immersed in the creation that it created itself through its own experience. And we're just getting in touch with that one being. But it does require a death. It does require the ending of your story. But this is not something that you can do. This is something that just unravels on its own. That's what it seems like over here. That's what it seems like on my end. Because I personally did not plan on this happening, but it just happened like a surprise. It happened like a sudden shock. And then once that surprise happened, it was like, wow, it's never been different though. It's always been like this. There really, honestly, never was a person to begin with. So there wasn't even a death. It was just, something just got removed. Like apparently, this is like not even so hard to put into words, but it's not even an event that happens. It's just something that just stops happening. Because it never even started. Because that's just a story. That's just a linear cause and effect mind game that our minds can play. It's always looking for a cause and effect. This leads to this. This happened because of this. But without the mind, there's no logic or reason. There's just, it's so free, it can be anything. It's literally so free, it doesn't need a reason for anything. And that's terrifying for the mind. The mind needs reason, and the mind needs a story. It needs cause and effect. But what I'm suggesting, what I'm talking about, has no cause or effect. It's so free, it doesn't even need for anything to happen, actually. That's why this is so this moment, this eternal now is so precious, because it could be literally anything. And I have no idea what this is. When I look around, when I'm walking around, sometimes I have no idea what this is. And it's perfect because I've never seen it before. I've never seen this before. This is the first time, every time, and it happens like a surprise every single time. Every single time when I get too lost in the story as, being a person, doing this, habits and whatever, routine, whatever, and I kind of step back, I'm like, oh, let me go back. Let me go back home. And then, it's like a surprise every single time that I don't have to do anything to be at home. I don't have to achieve anything to be successful. This is it, completely it as it is, with nothing else that needs to happen. And I can just allow things to happen on their own because what does it matter? I'm here. That's enough for me now. To notice my experience, to notice that there is even experience is enough for me. And it's so simple. But I could never see this when the separate self was so entangled with its experience. And when I say separate self, I also mean if you think yourself as this separate soul, on this journey, even before you were born, that's still an ego, completely. There's none of that anymore. All that falls away once this unraveling takes place. And you can just honestly just be with whatever happens, like good or bad. It honestly doesn't matter, because I'm here to experience something. From nothing to this is actually amazing. How this is coming from, who knows from where? No idea. And that's where it's beautiful. When you just have no idea. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what's actually going on. But I do know I have experience that there is something that's noticing my experience. And that's enough. That's completely enough to just sink right back into that joy of nothing, of empty peacefulness. And maybe these words might speak to something in you that could possibly hear this and loosen up that knot. Or maybe not. It doesn't matter. But if you made it this far, then you're probably on the way to that, if not already. But yeah, take care.